You've seen it, right? A boxer slips a punch like it's in slow motion, or someone just moves out of the way of a flying ball at the last possible second. You can't help but wonder, how on earth did they do that? It looks like a real-life superpower, something straight out of a movie. But what if I told you it isn't magic? It's biology. It's a system every single one of us has, and believe it or not, it's something you can actually train.
I mean, it really feels like one, doesn't it? This ability to see something coming and get out of the way before your brain has even had a chance to say, hey, that's a punch. It's probably the closest any of us will get to having a real-life spidey sense.
But nope, it's not a superpower. What we're talking about is pure neuroscience. It's a blistering, high-speed conversation happening between your eyes, your brain, and your muscles. So today, we're going to break down that entire process step by step and see exactly how that split-second dodge works. So where does it all start? Step 1, seeing the threat. And you might be surprised to learn it's not about seeing the details clearly. It's about your brain detecting one thing and one thing only: pure motion. Deep inside your retina, you have these specialized cells that aren't worried about the color of a boxer's gloves or what their face looks like. They have one job: to spot rapid changes in the scenery, to basically scream, "incoming," and blast that signal down your optic nerve as fast as humanly possible. And when I say fast, I really mean it. In less than 120 milliseconds, your brain gets the message and knows something is heading your way. That is unbelievably quick. Just think about that for a second. To really put that number into perspective, it takes you around 400 milliseconds just to read the word react on your screen right now. Your built-in, ancient threat detection system is firing more than 3 times faster than your conscious, reading brain. This proves that the dodge begins long before you're even aware you're in danger. Okay, so your eyes have sounded the alarm, but just seeing motion isn't enough, right? This is where your brain performs its most incredible trick. It doesn't just react to the punch, it predicts where it's going. This is the absolute key to the whole thing. Your brain is a prediction machine. It takes that first blurry piece of motion data and immediately starts running simulations, making a highly educated guess about where that object is going to be in the next fraction of a second.
Think of it like a command center in your head. Your parietal lobe is the strategist, calculating the trajectory. At the exact same time, your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, is sounding the klaxons, flagging this as a major threat. And that signal gets routed to the cerebellum, which starts figuring out the exact muscle commands you'll need to get out of the way.
And here's the craziest part of all. At this point, you have not made a single conscious choice. You haven't decided to move yet. Your body is already prepping, your muscles are getting their orders, all based on a prediction your subconscious brain made. It's just beautiful, it's efficient, and it's totally automatic. All right, we've seen the threat, we've predicted its path. Now for the final piece of the puzzle. Step 3 is all about execution, turning all those brain signals into actual physical movement. So let's put it all together on a timeline. From the moment the threat begins, it takes less than 120 milliseconds for your brain to even perceive it. And somewhere between 250 and 300 milliseconds later, your body has completed the dodge. We're talking about a third of a second to go from 0 to safety. But this is where practice makes a massive difference. An average person might take up to 300 milliseconds. An elite athlete, they can cut that down to under 150. And they're not doing it with magic. They're doing it by training that neural pathway over and over again, essentially upgrading the wiring between their eyes and their muscles to make it faster and more efficient. So, this system is incredibly fast, no doubt about it. But what about a true life-or-death moment, when even 150 milliseconds is too slow? Well, it turns out your body has a secret weapon, an evolutionary shortcut for when you need speed above all else. It's called the spinal reflex. In an absolute emergency, the signal from your senses doesn't even have to go all the way to the brain. It can hit the spinal cord, which acts like an emergency override switch, sending a command straight to your muscles. It's a move now, ask questions later system that saves those precious milliseconds that could be the difference between life and death. And all of this brings us to a really important point. Dodging isn't about being the strongest person in the room. It's about having the most efficient connection between your mind and your body. It's all about that high-speed data transfer between what you see and how you react. Which, of course, leads us to the big question. If this whole system is trainable, then how do we actually do it? How can we make that mind-body connection of ours even better? Well, it really boils down to working on 3 key areas. First, you've got to train your eyes to pick up motion better.
Second, you need to improve the coordination between your brain and your muscles. And third, the ultimate goal is to shorten the total time it takes to get from A to B to C.
And there are some really practical ways to do this. For your vision, just tracking a thrown ball back and forth helps. For coordination, something as simple as practicing dodging in a mirror builds that muscle memory. And for pure reaction time, there are tons of apps and drills that force you to react to things you aren't expecting. And remember, as you do these drills, you're not just practicing, you're physically changing your own wiring. With every repetition, you're making that neural circuit more efficient. You're actually wrapping the nerve pathway in something called myelin, which is like adding better insulation to an electrical wire. It literally lets the signal travel faster.
Okay, so we know how to build the system up and make it faster. It's just as important to know what can slow it down. What are the things that get in the way of this incredible process?
Well, there are a few usual suspects. Being tired, being stressed out, alcohol, they all slow down your brain's processing speed. But one of the biggest reflex killers is something we all do: overthinking. The moment your conscious, rational brain tries to get involved, it's like a traffic jam on the neural highway. It interrupts the fast, automatic process, and that split second of hesitation can be all it takes.
You know, in the end, there's a pretty simple piece of wisdom here. The absolute best way to dodge a punch is just to not be where it's going in the first place. But for those times you can't, you want every part of your system firing on all cylinders.
So, this amazing ability isn't some gift reserved for a select few. It's a biological system we all inherited from our ancestors. It's in our DNA. Nature gave you the hardware. The only question left is, now that you know how it works, what are you going to do to train it?